the man who brings the fun
Wow.
day after day after day. Dave Benoit, Deal Journal blogger.
How's it going, guys?
How are you, sir?
Good.
I like your Friday look. It's casual but sharp. It's
I think you've
impressive.
complimented me on what I've worn every day I've been
I
on the
know.
show.
Well, because it's always interesting. My stuff
He doesn't
is not
compliment me, it's
interesting.
sincere.
It's
I
right,
mean,
Jeanette.
Right, it's sincere. Okay, listen, let's start off with JP Morgan because we're starting off with the banks. Two big banks
Yeah.
reported earnings this
Yeah.
morning. What was the most important thing about JP Morgan's numbers that we need to know?
So they beat the street. Pretty good $5.4 billion profit, which is not bad for 3 months. And certainly we got kind of two sides here. The investment bank looks great again. Good trading numbers, good revenues there. And retail actually is the most profitable unit, which
Interesting.
happens occasionally, but is a little surprising in this first quarter, especially with the investment bank looking good. And that is coming down from mortgages, it looks like.
Right. Now, the numbers were down from a year ago,
Yes.
though, correct, right?
Yeah.
So what was that? Was there a special charge in there?
So last year was pretty strong, and this year there's a little bit of a markdown, both on the value of its own debt, which hurts them going up, conversely, and also JP Morgan took a $2.5 billion litigation charge related to mortgage lawsuits, which is a little nerve-wracking.
So the crisis is still with them very
Yeah.
much. They're still worrying about getting rid of those issues.
Yeah, they say that this is kind of putting them over the top. They don't need a reserve anymore, but we've heard that from banks before, so we'll see what actually happens here.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Jeanette, I know there's one thing that you're very interested in.
Is it about a whale?
It's about a whale.
It's about a whale.
Not a white whale, not a young whale.
Not a baby beluga whale.
Not a baby beluga. I want to talk about the conference call, right?
Sure.
The questions that Jamie Dimon had to field about the young whale.
Sure. So this one.
What can I tell you? I know Jamie doesn't want to hear about it,
Yeah.
but it's interesting.
It's very interesting.
It's one of the more interesting stories I've heard out of
Right.
JP Morgan and out of the banks.
And
for a
it
bit.
provides an important lesson on what banks really do,
Yes.
right? That's what Jamie Dimon
Yeah.
gave us.
So kind of briefly explain to us what's going on.
So in London, the Journal and other people have reported there is a trader that's created kind of an outsized position
In what?
Credit derivative swaps. Essentially, the bank argues today, and this is kind of the first time that Dimon and the CFO Bronstein have come out and really said, listen, we know this is getting a lot of attention. We want to remind people what banks do, is how they phrased it. Essentially, they have $1.1 trillion in deposits around the world. They don't lend out $1.1 trillion. They take that extra money that they have in deposits and invest it in very secure securities, things like government bonds and corporate debt. And then they have this extra hedge on that, which is in their chief investment office, which is where this London whale is. And they invest against that position kind of to make sure if anything goes bad, they'll be protected.
And I guess what makes people nervous really is just listening to that. That sounds so convoluted. That sounds like the kinds of things that got us in trouble
can't believe I
before.
got it all out.
Right.
But you did, and you did it well.
You did it
but
well.
that sounds like the kinds of things that got us in trouble before, and I think that's why people are interested in it. As much as the bank doesn't want to talk about it, it is a complicated thing.
Yeah.
Is there a concern there?
I mean, there is a lot of money at stake here. And essentially, the reason this London whale became a big deal is because he was buying so much that it was moving market prices.
Right.
And these hedge funds have caught on to this and said, hey, there's this one guy, we're betting against him. There's no way he's going to be able to hold this without selling it at a loss.
And was this the first time Dimon had acknowledged that this London whale, this trader actually exists? Was it even a big deal for him to, use that phrase and acknowledge
Well,
that?
he didn't use the phrase.
Okay.
He didn't.
They danced around it. They talked about, their CIO. It's not necessarily surprise, I guess, that he acknowledged existed. Wasn't that huge.
Okay.
He referred to it at one point as a tempest in a teapot. They're kind of being, and this is what JP Morgan does, they're very blunt in responding to things, and they are very much saying, this isn't a big deal. The regulators know about it. Dimon said at another point, regulators can see anything we do anytime they want.
Yeah.